Mr. Speaker, I rise today to unequivocally condemn in the strongest possible terms the actions of the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi.
Legitimate response.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Glad y'all tuned in. Today we're going to be looking at something about COVID, all the lockdowns we had, and it's kind of some blowback on the part of Nancy Pelosi. But there was a lot more politicians that done this specific thing, which is pretty much violating their own policy rules, which happened a lot. I know the real popular ones was Nancy Pelosi, which is this one, getting her hair cut during the lockdowns. Gavin Newsom going out to eat with people when it's supposed to be locked down, and there's several others, but this is pretty much a congressman making a speech on the record showing some of this hypocrisy that these politicians actually do. And it's a pretty good speech. I don't really know if it's going to accomplish much. The best thing it will accomplish, though, that I can see is just showing the American people how hypocritical these politicians can be, which is a good thing, because when you know what your politicians are doing, you know who to vote for. And that's what it's all about. You know, people won't change in America. America's kind of divided right now. Well, that's the only way we can really do it, is by voting in the people we want in place. Of course, it's really hard to find good candidates these days, but I can promise you they're out there. And career politicians are generally not the ones you want to vote for. Those are usually the corrupt ones. And you know, one thing that really makes this one worse is Nancy Pelosi is Speaker of the House of Representatives, which, if you don't know, that means if by some chance the president and the vice president are both incapacitated or killed for some reason, the Speaker of the House becomes president. I don't know why it's set up like that. I guess that makes sense because the Congress is, I guess, the closest to having citizens run the government as you could get. Needless to say, that's how it is. And right now, I don't like the second or third choice. If Joe Biden were to tap out, I really wouldn't want Nancy Pelosi running the country. The congressman coming up is Dan Crenshaw, and he's been in there for a little while. He's a Republican. He makes a lot of sense. I've listened to him speak a few times. He sounds like a logical person. I'm gonna let him run with it, and then we'll go from there.
Mr. Crenshaw for 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to unequivocally condemn in the strongest possible terms the actions of the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Just last week, referring to her obstruction of bipartisan targeted relief bills that we could have voted on this floor, she said, quote, "Don't characterize what we did before as a mistake. This was not a mistake, it was a decision," end quote. When asked what had changed, why she is finally coming to the table on COVID relief, her response was simple: a new president. We've known for months that Speaker Pelosi was holding the American people hostage for political gain. I've said it, my colleagues have said it. While Americans suffered under unscientific, foolish lockdowns, Pelosi withheld relief for political purposes. Not policy purposes, but political purposes. But we now have a full admission. She said the quiet part out loud. This was never about what was best for the American people, never about honest policy disagreement. It was about preventing President Trump from getting any credit. It was about politics. Speaker Pelosi made a simple calculation. She bet that if she could keep Congress from reaching a deal on COVID relief, that would hurt President Trump and Republicans and give her more power. Even when members of her own party asked her to bring common sense, standalone, bipartisan relief measures to the House floor that would easily become law, she refused. She would say over and over again that nothing is better than something. And she was being honest. She honestly believed that nothing was better than something, but better for who? Not for the American people, that's for sure. She believed that nothing was better than something for her and her party. It's hard to imagine a more awful and heartless strategy. And what's worse, Speaker Pelosi does all of this while people in her home state suffer from unscientific, unconstitutional lockdowns the Democrat leaders in California are forcing upon their citizens. These lockdowns are not based in science. They never have been. Study after study shows that they yield little, if any, benefits, but they impose extreme costs on the small businesses suffering under them. You know what else? Democrat leaders making these executive orders, they know this too, because they're violating their own guidelines. Speaker of the House couldn't even let a pesky little lockdown get in the way of a haircut appointment, even though those same lockdowns destroy the lives of her constituents. We've all seen the heartbreaking video of Angela Marsden, the owner of Pineapple Hill Saloon and Grill in Los Angeles. Everyone should have to watch that testimony as Democrats shut down her outdoor dining while a Hollywood studio sets up shop right next door. She represents millions of Americans suffering who have taken note of the hypocrisy of these lockdowns, of the double standards, as big businesses can operate freely while small businesses are shamed into submission and told wrongly that they are the ones who must sacrifice to slow the spread, that the demise of the business they spent their whole lives building is the price to pay because if it just saves one life. But this is unscientific nonsense, and we all know it. Study after study shows outdoor dining is safe, that outbreaks are not occurring because of our small businesses, our gyms, our restaurants, our salons, and yet these small businesses are in the crosshairs of cowardly politicians across the country. This madness has to stop. This arbitrary application of executive orders is deeply, deeply unconstitutional. Justice Gorsuch recently stated, "There is no world in which the Constitution tolerates color-coded executive edicts that reopen liquor stores and bike shops, but shutter churches, synagogues, and mosques." Americans have had enough. It is time to stand up against the hypocrisy of these so-called leaders, deliberately harming the citizens they claim to represent, and to condemn the deeply partisan actions of the Speaker of this House. I yield back.
Now, in the interest of being completely fair, there was some precedent for what she done. It wasn't really going against the policy that was in place. As a leader, you should lead by example. The Speaker of the House speaks for the House. I know, sorry, I had to do that. In other words, she is the political leader for the House of Representatives. So she not only is a leader for her constituents, she's also a leader for everybody's constituents in Congress. If you're going to pull some double standard crap like that, be prepared for the consequences. I just hope that her constituents see this and know this. We shouldn't tolerate that kind of hypocrisy. People don't pay attention to politics. I'm guilty of that myself. I didn't pay attention to it for a long time until I started seeing things kind of going downhill, and I started watching it, and that's when I realized how bad this system really is. I say system. It's not really the system that's bad. It's the fact that the people don't really pay attention to it, and it's not really focused on until elections. The candidates put out all these ads and make themselves look great, but it's not reality. A lot of these politicians do some really corrupt stuff, and we never know about it. You know, there might be a quick little segment on the news about it, and that's it, but most people don't hear about it. Well, when they go vote, they just go vote corrupt politicians right back into place. So, you know, that's why I've made it a point to try to put some videos out to show some of this BS these politicians are doing, because it's just wrong, and it's tearing the country apart. And I really want to change that. As of this point, I'm not really getting a whole lot of views on YouTube. So anybody that gets this far in the video, I would ask, please share this. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to like it, but share it. Or at least make a video like this and get it out there, because we all need to pitch in. We could make this country a whole lot better than what it is right now, and make it like it used to be. It used to be great. Well, it still is. It's still the best country in the world. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. But we've allowed corrupt politicians to corrupt the best country ever. And that's not something that sits well with me. We need to make our voices heard. It wouldn't take much time out of your day to learn a little bit about these politicians and make good choices when it comes time for elections. I've said my piece for this one. I want to thank y'all for watching, and just remember, stay positive. Peace.